Okay, let me know whether you can see the screen. It may take few seconds also. Madam, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So let us begin. And my voice is audible. Is it okay, or shall I increase my volume? Is
No,
it
it's okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. See, last time I'll just take a little review, revision. That last time we have discussed the structure of neuron, its classification based on morphology, as well as per the functions. So the entire structure and functions of neuron, the nervous tissue in that neuron and supporting cells as neuroglial or glial cells, different types of glial cells that we have discussed, and we had started the we had already discussed the classification of brain. We have started the main part of this chapter with brain, and so the first part of this we will be starting with. So that is forebrain. Okay. Now again, I will revise this classification of nervous system. So those who were absent last time in the last lecture, extra and remember every Thursday there will be our extra lecture. Remember, okay? So do come. So nervous tissue or nervous system is divided into three main types. That is central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system. We will be beginning with the first type, that is central nervous system. This central nervous system is again divided into brain and spinal cord. These are the two main parts of central nervous system. And in that we will begin with the first part, that is the brain, which is called as encephalon. The meaning last time we discussed, N is in, encephalon means head. That means brain which is present in the head. Now this brain, which is called as encephalon, is divided into three parts. So children, be very careful and remember, though I will be sending you the PPTs or sorry PDFs, but you should be very attentive because this is not so simple. Okay, try to understand because these words are little bit new to you and you should remember these words also. So first part, that is forebrain, second is midbrain, third is hindbrain. But what are these called? This encephalon divided as prosencephalon, that means the forebrain, that is the front part. Midbrain is called as mesencephalon, that is the middle part. Hindbrain, that is rhombencephalon, that is the behind, that means back part or the back side of the brain, total out of this area. Okay, so we will be beginning with the first of this first part, that is prosencephalon, that is the front part of the brain, that is called as forebrain, or this is also called as prosencephalon. When you see the structure very clearly, you can see in this diagram that which is shown by this arrow, the entire structure is forebrain. And again, how it is divided, that we will see. This the entire structure is forebrain. This very small part which is shown here, that is the midbrain, mesencephalon, and the last part that is called as hindbrain. Okay. Then again, these are the parts of forebrain, that is prosencephalon. That is first is called as olfactory lobes. That means it's also called as rhinencephalon or rhinencephalon. Then the next, that is cerebrum, that is also called as telencephalon. Then diencephalon. So forebrain or prosencephalon is divided into olfactory lobes, cerebrum, and diencephalon. Olfactory lobes are also called as rhinencephalon. Cerebrum is known by telencephalon. Diencephalon, that is also called as thalamencephalon. Okay, now we will be beginning with the first part of this prosencephalon, that is the forebrain, that is olfactory lobes. See, in this diagram, these two structures, elongated structures, which you can see as the cylindrical structures or track-like structures, they are called as olfactory lobes. These olfactory lobes are called as they are also known to be parts as olfactory bulbs and olfactory tracts. So these are shown by the arrows. So this part is called as olfactory lobes. Here again it is very clear in this part you can see here, this is one and this is the another one. So this is the ventral view of brain where you can see these two olfactory lobes. Now in this olfactory lobes you can what is the position of this olfactory lobe? That is covered by cerebrum dorsally. So from the back side, it is totally covered by cerebrum, which is the middle part of the brain. Then it is visible only on ventral side. Front side only you can see this. So how it looks, structure, that is a paired, you can see that paired in the diagram, you could see the paired part of olfactory lobes. These are very small bodies, club shaped structures. Club shaped structure, you know the meaning of club, how the shape of the club, the anteriorly or posteriorly at one side, club means what? It is little bit bulging and then it becomes narrow, right? So anteriorly swollen part in this is called as olfactory bulb, and posterior tubular part, tract-like structure, that is called as olfactory tract. That's why I told just now that olfactory lobes are divided or shown to be by two parts. They are anterior, which is swollen part, which gives the appearance of bulging structure like a bulb, that is called as olfactory bulb, and the posterior part, which is tubular or cylindrical or a track-like structure, that is called as olfactory tract. Now, the next diagram, we will see again here the actual olfactory bulb and olfactory tract, and you must have understood the meaning of this olfactory if you have learned somewhere. Here by the arrows it is shown, so which is related to, you can imagine what is that it is related to. Okay, so here this is the olfactory lobe, which is considered to be the anterior part, and this is the tubular structure as olfactory tract. This is the bulb-like bulging structure, and this is the tubular tract-like structure. So here in this diagram you can see this is the position, this is the front part, this is the middle part, and this is the behind part. So here in this way, here you can see the olfactory bulbs. This is the position, very anterior part of the forebrain, that is called as olfactory bulb. Now as I said just now, how you can imagine with the name, you can understand the name, that olfactory bulb, olfactory tract, this is what bulb, and the tract or entire considered to be olfactory lobe. Here is the nasal chamber, and you know the meaning of what is the function of nasal chamber or a nose, the main part, that is the aroma or fragrance or smell, whatever. So here olfactory neurons are present which help for the aromatic aroma to sense. So olfactory bulbs, what is their role? To know, understand the aromatic substances. So olfactory bulbs are related to, olfactory lobes are related to getting the aroma, that is the smell. Okay. Now, you know, sensation of smell is the main function of this olfactory bulb. Now, we studied the position, we studied the structure, and now this is the function. So, divide always this in three parts, the structure, location, and the function. So, first two parts we studied. Now, the function also, what is the main function? Sensation of smell. In case of human beings, it is little bit poorly developed, but it is highly developed in lower animals like dogs and shark. Now, You must be knowing, how the dogs they smell, and so that's why in so many cases, these in the criminal department cases, in the by the police department, they take help of the dogs, because the sense of smell is very strong. Even in case of shark, that's why shark are also called as dog fish, isn't it? Because the sense of smell is very high, strong. So, and what is the part? That is olfactory lobes. So in case of dogs, it is very well developed. Now, the next is what? Olfactory lobes we completed. The next is what? Cerebrum. That is the main and the most important and the largest part of the total brain. Also, you can say not only forebrain, but the entire brain where we consider, this is considered to be the largest. So what the cerebrum is known by? Telencephalon. Okay. Now we'll talk about the cerebrum. 80 to 85% weight of the total brain is occupied by this part of the forebrain, that is the middle second part, that is called as cerebrum. This is also called as telencephalon, which is the largest in among the all parts of the brain. So how it looks now, when we take in this diagram, you can see these, it is divided into two parts. For the study, it is very important how to study this. Where you can see the middle part, which is considered to be a fissure. Fissure means that depression part, depressed part. So this fissure, that is median longitudinal fissure, is present, and because of this, the cerebrum is divided into two parts. So right cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere. Cerebral hemisphere, the meaning of hemi means half, sphere is what, the meaning of sphere. So half sphere. So which is not completely sphere, the entire is divided into two parts, that is right and left. Right cerebral hemisphere, left cerebral hemisphere. By what? By this fissure, that is the median, which is present in the middle. So that is median. Longitudinal, it is longitudinal fissure. So with the help of this, you can remember these two parts of the cerebrum, that is the right and left cerebral hemisphere, that is called as. Now what is the position? It is shown here. Exactly, this is the corpus callosum, which is shown, where this part is shown to be below corpus callosum, means here in this area. Below this is the line by blue color, it is shown, that is the corpus callosum, and this is the actual part of the position of this, which is shown by this circle. So below the corpus callosum and above the midbrain. So here is the small midbrain, and here this arrow, and this is the location shown, that is the cerebrum. Okay, cerebrum is present below corpus callosum and above midbrain. This is the position, and it encloses a cavity known as third ventricle, or this is also known by diocele. Now this part I will explain in the next part, where we will be studying, discussing different types of ventricles. Just remember that it encloses a cavity that is called as third ventricle. See here, it is very clearly seen. This is the median longitudinal fissure, you can see here, and see these two hemispheres are internally connected. You can see here, this is shown by red color, connected by a transverse wide fat bundle of myelinated fibers beneath the cortex called corpus callosum. Cortex is the outermost layer, which we just you can say the outer layer as cortex. Below the cortex, whatever the layer is there, that means beneath the cortex, that is present, these are the transverse wide flat bundle of myelinated fibers, that is called as corpus callosum. This is also called as callosal commissure. Okay, this is also called as callosal commissure. So the below the fissure, whatever these two parts are joined by these transverse wide flat bundle of myelinated fibers. So beneath this cortex, that is corpus callosum. So we are talking about the structures. Okay, structure. Okay. So the next is here. You can see very clearly what does this corpus callosum is. Here is the corpus callosum. These are the transversely widely myelinated nerve fibers. Okay, so corpus callosum brings coordination between the right and left cerebral hemispheres. So, as I said, these two cortices means is plural. So, left cortex and right cortex. These are called as left and right cerebral hemispheres. So these two are joined. Is in the previous diagram we saw that they are joined. It brings this corpus callosum that brings the coordination between these two. Okay. Here again you can see it is shown by red colored part, that is the corpus callosum. Coordination between these two hemispheres is shown, and this is the largest commissure, that is the area considered to be the suture like, or you can say the depressed one. So that is what the largest area. Now one more thing you can remember in this case, that is the surface of cerebrum is composed of gray matter, and that is called as cerebral cortex. So the outer part is what? Cerebrum's outer surface, outer layer, or the outer part of the cerebrum. That is, you can see here everything as gray, that is made up of composed of gray matter. Whereas inner part, that is with made up of white matter. So the neural cell bodies are connected in the cerebral cortex. Now you have learned the neural cells, right? The body of the neuron, and the extensions of the neuron. Myelinated part is what is extensions as axons, and body as cyton, right? So this color is because of the cerebral cortex. The color of the gray color is because of the body, cerebral bodies are, neural cell bodies are present in this region. Okay, that is in the cerebral cortex. The next one, next diagram. Here you can remember cerebrum externally shows several elevations and depressions. What are these elevations? These elevated portions or parts are called as gyri. Gyrus is the singular, means which unsavate we can say in Marathi, unsavata. Okay, so these unsavate or these elevations, they are called as gyri. And depressions, they are called as sulci. You can see the depressed part in between. So these are called as sulci. Sulcus is a singular. So the folds which elevates, that is called as gyrus or gyri, plural. And the shallower grooves between the gyri are called sulci. So these fissures are called as sulci. Sulci is the plural, sulcus is the singular. Okay. Here you can see again why, well, you know the meaning, why it is necessary, why, how it helps these gyri and sulci, because they are helpful in increasing the surface area of the cerebral cortex. Why? Increase in the surface area of the cerebral cortex is an indication of the higher level of evolution of the human beings. You must have heard also the brain is larger, so the brain capacity is also larger. That person is considered to be very intelligent. But what is because of that? What? Because of increase in the area of cerebral cortex. Now again you can remember cerebral cortex has three functional areas. One is sensory area, second is motor area. So what is sensory area? That receives and interprets the sensory impulses. Now you know the sensory organs. So from the sensory organs, whatever the senses are there, these are received by this area of the cerebral cortex, that is called as sensory area. And motor area, that is controlling voluntary muscular movements. You know, all the muscular movements, these are controlled by motor areas. So, and the third is what? Association area. So, association areas are neither clearly sensory nor motor in function, but they deal with more complex integrative functions such as memory and communications. The cerebral medulla consists of only mostly myelinated axons, that is white matter. So cerebral media, as I told in the previous diagram itself. So first you remember what about the association area, that is neither clearly sensory nor motor in function, but it deals with the more complex and the most important integrative functions such as memory and communications. So what is the role of association area? Memory and communication. And how it is located, or where it is located, that is the cerebral medulla consists of mostly myelinated axons, that is white matter. I showed you in the previous diagram that the outer area is with the neural body cells, that means what, cyton area. Body cell is what, cyton, which is representing gray area, gray matter, whereas the inner part, inner to cortex, is what, medulla. So beneath the cortex, whatever the medulla region is there, that is shown by white matter, and that is because of the presence of myelinated axons. Axons, as we discussed last time, they are myelinated, covered by myelin chain. Now, what is the role? Step by step, we'll discuss. Intelligence, memory, judgment, and problem solving ability. So what are these roles? Very, very important roles which cerebrum, that is the maximum part covered by of the brain, total area of the brain, that is the cerebrum, is associated with the intelligence, memory, judgment, and problem solving ability. And all these lobes which are present in the cerebral hemisphere, there are different lobes that we will be discussing, and then how these all functions are associated to that particular lobe, that also we will discuss. Okay, so what are these lobes? Frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. Now I will show you in the diagram. Remember that cerebral hemisphere is divided into four lobes. Frontal, the name itself suggests the front side, front lobe. Parietal, periphery, or next to frontal part, that is peripheral lobe, that is called as temporal, that is the lateral. You can remember side, lateral, temporal, and occipital, that is the back side. You can see in the diagram very clearly shown by different color. So this part is called as frontal lobe. Next to that, parietal lobe. Then last, back side, that is occipital lobe. And this lateral side, both lateral side, that is called as temporal. So front lobe totally covered, front side. Next to that, parietal lobe, from here to here, that side, both the sides, it occupies the parietal lobe, and occipital, the back side, and the lateral, that is the temporal. So remember, frontal, parietal, occipital, and lateral, these are the four parts or the four lobes present. Now this area which is shown by red color is considered to be the frontal lobe. Now here very clearly you can see few more points. You just remember in this diagram, that is shown by precentral gyrus, postcentral precentral sulcus. Sulcus and gyri means what are these, that is shown just, that is gyrus is the elevation, sulcus is the depression, and this is the central area. So this is called as central sulcus, and this is the post sulcus region and post gyrus region. So post central region and post central gyrus. Post central sulcus, that is what, depression, and this is the elevation. So this is what considered to be the general motor area. Whatever is shown is general motor area. Now, what is the role of this frontal lobe? Remember, diffused throughout frontal lobe, that is this area, frontal lobe. This is the frontal associated area. It controls intelligence, memory, judgment, and problem solving capacity. See, all these important functions are performed by this area, that is the associated area. That's why this is called as frontal association area. Just now we discussed all these areas, three areas: motor, sensory, and associated, right? So which area is located, that you remember, that associated area, which is considered to be the most important functional, that is occupied here in the frontal lobe. What is the role? That is, it controls intelligence, memory, judgment, and problem solving ability. Okay. Now, in the same frontal lobe, motor area is also present, which is related to the speech. So this is also motor area, and even when speech, that all the voluntary functions are performed by muscular, voluntary functions are performed by motor area, right? So control over the muscular movements while speaking, right? So that is what speech related to that control. Okay, then here also you can see that is the somatosensory cortex. This is the parietal area, right? We will discuss step by step again. So I'm just showing here, it is shown like speech and test. All this controlling means how the first perception of the language and then converting into speech, that is done in the this area. Okay, same test is known, that is the sense of test, that is the sensory area. Then here, so somatosensory association means sense, it is also sensed, and again its association in the sense it is ability, and then it is a solving problem, right? Reading area, that is also considered to be reading area. So understanding ability, that is related to association, and then problem solving, judgment, that how it is to be converted into thoughts and then into, that is the understanding. Then this is the occipital area, which is related to the vision, that is also association area. Now again this is divided into two parts. First is what? Vision, where it is first sensed, means where whatever you see, that is first received, that is the sense area, area of this what we discussed about. And then association means understanding, and then that memory is stored over there, whatever is seen, that memory is stored, that is related to association area. Then this is the temporal lobe, where in this area, what are these two things? Hearing and smell, listening and smell, olfactory and auditory. And again speech is also there. Okay, that is not shown here, but these are the two main things. So how it is the area? This is considered to be sense area for just smelling, sensing the smell and sensing what something is here, listened, heard, heard. Okay, but auditory association means what? Understanding what the smell is and then reacting the same way, understanding whatever you are hearing, listening, and it's capturing, understanding, and then solving as per the requirement wherever it is required. Okay, so just remember all this. Then here is the next lobe, that is the parietal lobe. I showed all about the all lobes, frontal, parietal, occipital, temporal, but see which is shown here by the bracket, that is the parietal lobe covered, shown by green color. And when you see, this is the middle part or front, after front, next part is the middle part or next to front part, that is the parietal lobe shown by red color. And here again, this is considered to be the general sensory area is present in this parietal lobe. So precentral gyrus and postcentral gyrus, these are elevations it is shown, and mainly it is concerned with the sensation of touch, temperature, pain, and pressure. Remember all these, this is parietal area is mainly for sensation, frontal area is mainly for association along with the sensation and motor, right? But this main area or the main role or the function of the parietal area is what? General sensory area, which is concerned with the sensation of touch, temperature, pain, pressure. So that is what all the type of sensations are controlled, understood, and then accordingly reflected, or the action is taken. So parietal area is mainly for sensation of the touch, that is the skin, again temperature of the body surrounding, pain, of the body, then pressure, blood pressure, as well as the osmotic pressure of the body. That means ion concentration and all these things are coming in that area. Then the next is temporal lobe. Now, in this temporal lobe, as I said, so this is shown by the red color, lateral sides, as I told you, that is the temporal lobe. And this is, just remember one thing in that case, that is the sense of taste, hearing, and smell. As I told you just now, that the sensory area, but along with these two, speech area, this is also called as Wernicke's area, where the speech, conversion of understanding, whatever is read or whatever the is understood, that into thoughts, that is what sensory area. Okay, so sense of taste, hearing, and smell. Sense of taste is what? Gustatory area, then which is related to the tongue. Auditory, that means listening, auditory area, and the olfactory, that is smell. So all the three types of senses are occupied in the sensory area, where this is also very important part. You can remember the Wernicke's area present in the parietal lobe. Okay, so this is very important thing you need to remember. And the last lobe, that is the occipital lobe. Now, as you must have understood by the name itself, which is related to the sense, which sense? This is the area of occipital back area, that is occipital lobe, and shown by red color. And see, this is what in this diagram, this is the occipital lobe, and that is associated with the visual area. That means association visual area as well as sensory visual area. Sensory visual area means what? Whatever you see, that is what sense. Okay, and association visual area means that remains as a memory. You understand what you have seen, that means perception, analysis, and then storing the information, that is related to association. So this occipital lobe shows both the parts. Sensory, that is concerned with the sense of vision, that means whatever is you see, that is what sense. But whatever you understand, analyze, and then remain permanently in as a information, that is storage of that particular information, that means in the form of memory. Whatever you have seen, you remain remember forever, right? That is in the form of memory. That is what associated visual area. Okay, then next, this is again recap. You can remember the areas of cerebrum, all this, or you can say the uh, brain, where frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe, along with the functions. Again, in the diagram, everything is shown. Frontal lobe, where this is the associated area, the entire one, that is the somatic motor association area, is present in the frontal lobe. Then here is the area, gustatory cortex and olfactory cortex. Then this is the central sulcus, parietal lobe, that is associated with the association area as well as sensory cortex, as we discussed just now. Uh, Pain, pressure, this area, pain, pressure, temperature, parietal lobe is associated with all that. Osmotic pressure or blood pressure or whatever. Then occipital, related to vision. Again, two parts, two categories just we discussed. And here is the temporal area, auditory, where you can remember all the three types, categories, where sense of smell, sense of taste, and sense of hearing, listening. That means tongue, ears, and what? What else I say? That is the sense of smell. All the three areas are associated. All the three sense areas are associated with this. Okay. Now the next part of this, the last part of this forebrain, that is called as diencephalon. First part we discussed as olfactory, second as cerebrum. Now the third part of forebrain, that is called as diencephalon, and this is the region where it is shown. This is the diencephalon in the adult brain. Now this is the red area which is shown here, the last part of this forebrain, last part of this forebrain, diencephalon. Now, where is the position? That is the last part of the forebrain, present below corpus callosum, as I showed you in the previous diagram, corpus callosum, and it is completely covered by cerebrum. It is completely covered by cerebrum. It's very small in structure, it is unpaired, and that is considered to be the median structure, middle part. Now, again, this diencephalon, di means two. I'll tell you how it is two that in the next part. That is diencephalon. It is divided into again three parts. That is the epi, that means above. Hypo means below. So, and the middle one, that is the thalamus, which is considered to be the side walls. And so, this thalamus, which covers the thalamus, that is above the thalamus, that is called as roof of thalamus, called as epithalamus. And the floor of the thalamus, that means below the thalamus, hypo means below the thalamus, whatever is present, that is what floor. And these are the side walls. So, diencephalon shows three parts: epithalamus, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Now we will talk about first epithalamus. So this is the area shown in red, that is the epithalamus. This is what epithalamus. Okay. Again, epithalamus shows two parts, that is coracoid plexus, which is anteriorly present area is called as coracoid plexus, and small, very small uh, bulging structure that is called as pineal body that is present posteriorly, that is the part of endocrine system, that is also called as pineal gland, that is also called as pineal gland. So epithalamus shows two parts, anterior part as coracoid plexus and posterior part as pineal body, that is also called as pineal that is present posteriorly, that is a part of endocrine system. Now, epithalamus, if you see here, the structure made up of plexus and pineal body. Here is the thalamus, the upper part, then below part as hypothalamus. Okay, this is the hypothalamus. Here the upper region, epithalamus, where epithalamus, this is very small plexus, anterior part, and the posterior part is what? Small bulging structure that is called as the pineal body. Very small body is present, that is also called as pineal gland. First of all, it was not, role of pineal gland was not knowing, but later on it was observed to be seen. Here again you can see in this structure, pineal gland, very small dot like structure, that is, and this is the posterior part of epithalamus, and this is the anterior part, that is coracoid plexus. Now, anterior coracoid plexus, what is its role? That is also called as roof of diencephalon, and it shows the presence of capillaries. Network of capillaries is present, and its main function, remember the main function of this coracoid plexus of epithelium, that is the anterior part of epithelium called as coracoid plexus, is secretion of CSF. CSF is what? Cerebrospinal fluid. Okay. Now, pineal body, what is the role of pineal body? See each and every part, structure and functions and locations I am telling. Divide each and every part in the structure, location and functions. It will be very easier to understand and remember also. So posterior roof of diencephalon is called as pineal body, and the role is in the as endocrine. It is a part of endocrine system. That means directly it is secreted in the endocrine type of glands, secret in the blood. What they secrete? Melatonin. Melatonin, what is the role of melatonin? It is involved in the metabolic activities, different types of metabolic activities. Whereas one more thing, that is biological rhythms. You know the meaning of biological rhythms? How our body, all type of organisms, most of the organisms, they work as per the biological rhythms. The circadian rhythms, biological rhythms, means at that particular uh, period only that activity is done. For example, when we wake up in the morning, that means that our body is made as per that biological clock. When you go to some other part of the not country, but the you can say if you are staying in the eastern area and if you go to western area, in that way totally, when there it takes some time to adjust your biological clock. So that is also related, even not only human beings, but in case of birds also, these biological rhythms are very particular. They show their functioning as per daytime and nighttime, as means, for example, as per the sunrise and sunset generally. That is what biological clock, that is also called as. So the all such type of activities are mentioned. Okay. Now the next part is thalamus. Thalamus, see, this is the position it is shown in the frontal lobe. This is the thalamus. This is the thalamus, lies superior to the midbrain, above the midbrain. Small part below is that midbrain, but this is the thalamus. You can see here is the region. It looks like a paired structure with the side parts, and this is shown in this. These are the paired or side parts shown in this circular uh, structure. This is the thalamus. What is the function? Function of the thalamus. It is considered to be relay center for sensory impulses, a reticular activating system that is related to controls the level of consciousness. More the activity of this reticular activating system, that is the consciousness, more active the person is. Lesser the activity of RAS, lesser active the person is. So that is considered, this thalamus is considered to be the gatekeeper of cerebrum. Okay, now the last part of the thalamus, that is below the thalamus, whatever is present is called as hypothalamus. See, this is the structure shown by red color, that is hypothalamus. What is the role? It is present below thalamus, forms the floor of the thalamus. Anterior downward projection is called as infundibulum and has many nuclei and masses of gray matter scattered into white matter. So this is about the hypothalamus, and the role of hypothalamus is very important. That is considered to be the master endocrine gland. One of the most important endocrine gland is considered to be as hypothalamus, which contains several groups of neurosens secretory cells which secrete hypothalamic hormones. And hypothalamus controls and integrates the activities of ANS, autonomous nervous system. Okay, and it has the this part also, that is considered to be the optic chiasma, where two optic nerves are crossed. And remember the functions of this hypothalamus, that is related to hunger and thirst. So it controls, it senses, then it controls the pituitary gland. These all different types of glands are present. It is considered to be the connecting link between the different types of coordinating different types of systems, that with the help of example we'll discuss later. ADH and oxytocin hormones are produced, means it controls the activity of ADH and oxytocin hormones, which is a part of the reproductive system. Then controls body temperature and circadian rhythms. So as per the body temperature is also controlled by hypothalamus. Also controls the emotions like love, hate, fear, anger, etc. So it is playing very important role, that is hypothalamus. So, and about the ventricles and all we will discuss in the next period, but just remember, because it is related to this part uh, of this, that is the lateral ventricle 1 and lateral ventricle 2, they are considered to be paracel pallium, which is here again next period we will be discussing. But this limbic system or amygdala, these are all also the parts of the uh, front lobe of this brain. So that's why I'm just mentioning here. Just remember, and that limbic system as well as amygdala, that is the it acts as brain's warming center. that is the part of telencephalon located in the temporal lobe and involved in memory, emotions, and fear. So it acts as brain's warming center. Whereas limbic system is formed by the inner parts of the cerebral hemisphere, a group of associated deep structures like amygdala, or this is also called as amygdala and hippocampus. See, these are also a part of cerebrum. That's why I'm just mentioning here. So it is not in detail given in the textbooks, but a part of this system. Okay, that is the part of cerebral hemisphere in the basal median part of the temporal lobe. Important for learning and for converting short-term memory to permanent, that is long-term memory. So limbic system, along with the hypothalamus is involved in the regulation of sexual behavior and expression of the emotional reactions. So as it is related to the hypothalamus, I'm just mentioning that that is a part of the system. I will stop here because time is over. So I will stop my presentation also. And if you have any doubt, you can ask